The Cursed Doll. Sarah's 10th birthday was a modest affair, marked by a homemade cake and a few close friends from school. As the afternoon wore on, her grandmother, a reclusive woman who rarely left her creaky old house at the edge of town, arrived with a peculiar gift. The package, wrapped in faded floral paper, contained an antique porcelain doll. It had a delicately painted face, glassy blue eyes, and long curly brown hair. The doll's dress was an intricate lace garment, clearly made in a time when such details were crafted by hand. Sarah was thrilled. She named the doll Amelia and quickly made it her constant companion, playing tea parties, reading stories, and even tucking it into bed with her at night. Her parents, Helen and Tom, found the doll's presence slightly unsettling, but they chalked it up to their own imaginations. Strange things began happening almost immediately. Sarah, once a sweet and obedient child, started exhibiting unusual behaviors. She became secretive, whispering to the doll in hushed tones and staring blankly at nothing for long periods. Her temper flared at the slightest provocation, and she would fly into violent rages, hurling objects and screaming obscenities. One night, Helen awoke to the sound of giggling. She got out of bed and followed the noise to Sarah's room. Peeking through the door, she saw her daughter sitting in the dark, the doll on her lap, both of them illuminated by the moonlight streaming through the window. Sarah's laughter was low and chilling, nothing like the joyful sound Helen was used to. "Sarah, it's time for bed," Helen said gently. Sarah's head snapped up, and her eyes, usually bright and full of life, were dull and empty. "Amelia doesn't want to sleep, Mommy. She wants to play," she said in a flat voice. Helen's heart pounded. She reached for the doll, but as soon as her fingers touched it, a sharp, searing pain shot through her hand. She pulled back, gasping. The doll's eyes seemed to glint malevolently in the dim light. The next morning, Helen and Tom decided to take drastic measures. They searched the house for any information about the doll and found a note tucked into the bottom of the box it came in. The note, written in shaky handwriting, read, "This doll is cursed. It brings misfortune and madness. Once claimed, it must be returned to its rightful place or destroyed. Beware the doll's wrath." Desperation setting in, Helen called her mother. "Why did you give Sarah that doll?" she demanded. Her grandmother sighed, her voice trembling. "It belonged to your great-aunt Lily. She was never the same after she got it. I thought maybe it was just a coincidence." Helen hung up, feeling a cold dread settle in her stomach. She and Tom agreed that the doll had to go. That night, while Sarah was asleep, Tom took the doll and locked it in the attic. But the doll had other plans. At midnight, they were awakened by a loud thumping sound. They rushed to the attic to find the door wide open and the doll missing. Panicking, they ran to Sarah's room. There, they found her standing in the center, holding a knife. Her eyes were wide with fear and anger, and she seemed to be struggling against an invisible force. "Amelia wants to play forever," Sarah whispered, her voice not her own. Tom lunged forward, grabbing the doll and yanking it from Sarah's grip. The moment the doll left her hands, Sarah collapsed, sobbing. Helen grabbed the knife and threw it aside, holding her daughter tightly. Tom took the doll outside, doused it in gasoline, and set it on fire. The flames roared to life, and the doll's painted face seemed to twist and contort in agony as it burned. A piercing scream echoed through the night. Then silence. In the days that followed, Sarah gradually returned to her old self, though the memories of what happened lingered in her nightmares. Helen and Tom never spoke of the doll again, and they made sure to warn others about accepting strange gifts, no matter how innocent they might seem. As for the ashes of the cursed doll, they were scattered far and wide, ensuring that Amelia would never find another home to haunt.